When are you just going to do it? Just go sit down and write that book. The big one you've been talking about for years. The small ones you said you would write after the big one failed. That screenplay, the letters that you needed to send, the one to her right now, the one to your family about the move to temper the nerves of losing that limb, the one to your niece on her sweet 16 to let her know that she's your hero, the book about soil loams, the book about bus lines, the one about rivers, the one about your childhood. What is wrong with you? Don't you know that your life will be easier if you just do? Do you remember when the only thing that mattered was finishing? When you weren't drowning in your own scraps? When the head went down and the hand went running? Do you remember not having to be asked? Not having to ask yourself? When you cared less about your social media platforms? Do you remember the notebooks of loose leaf ideas? Free, using the lines as monkey bars and double Dutch ropes? When you called them in for dinner and they licked the bowls clean, swirled the soup into words, and devoured every single letter? When there was no fear of missing out, no fear of what wasn't said. Yeah, I remember. I remember when you wrote the lights back on after grandma passed. When you just couldn't find that light switch when the shadows got more creative. And how in 8th grade you hip-hopped back into your notebook, riding buses until you drained out the lyrics and needed a refill. Do you remember those refills, Jovan? How you could score a whole album in a day, pluck the posies and deliver them to your enchantment. When you became a professional, did you imagine that your imagination could get arthritic? Did you know that the curtains collected so much dust that you were blinded every time you opened your eyes? Why don't you get that MFA? You know real writers get MFAs, right? Why don't you get an agent? You know real writers get agents, right? Why don't you make that blog post? Post to Instagram twice a week. Develop a Twitter following of teachers following your creative writing pedagogy or prompts for young Black boys to write themselves whole, or commemorative video poems for every morning when the muse strikes. I mean, do you see them, Jovan? All those others out there, othering better than you? Must want to be them, Jovan. Feel them closing their shutters on you. But that was my idea. I thought of that first. They stole that from me. Look at them get seen. Look at them get seen. Look at them in all those dreams. Look at them get seen. Look at them get seen. Look at me in my untold sentence. All my snippets and all my wishes. All my whispers and all my remnants. All my whimpers and all my gimmicks. I'm sitting at a coffee shop in South Denver, watching whiteness float amongst the room, watching a world where complacency has become our currency. I wonder how much I could pay to get them to care enough about our society to activate those privileges into production, to make them the ones that went to Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. Anything to make them sound the horns when another Black boy is filched on YouTube. There are days that I know the only way I can do this is with my pen. Dip the tip into the brown of my eyes and write them and meet them and ask why, find out, and maybe build some pages, the premium kind that I believe I could die committing myself to bring them to rescue of themselves, but particularly us. A Black boy walks in like a pink balloon, admiring the lighting, seemingly brimming over with joy and radiance. Is that me? Little me. I am reminded of this often as I flutter and flail. Me, a storm on the prairie, not seeing my beauty from the distance, only the fury in the clouds. You have a job to do, sir. Call them in. It's time to eat. Today, we're going tuxedo shopping for my nephew Kevin for prom. He's 18 years old, and this is his last time getting to make this grown man decision. Naturally, he wants the hot pink pants with the hot pink tie and the gator skin shoes. And I'm optimistic because the boy looks bad. And when he comes out of the dressing room, my 4-year-old nephew, Kason, stretches his baby arm to the sky and starts letting out the chant, yay, 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 in the middle of Men's Warehouse because he can't yet say KJ yet. And I guess this is just how decisions are made in my household. You see, on these days, we're all Black boys. All smiles, all aspirations, bright brown-eyed figuring this world out. Learning how to perfect our hair, our jump shot, our end zone dance, our Mac game while your mama makes you put grease on your elbows. We laugh explosive. Teeth barely grown in. We ask questions to shit we already know. We want to be famous and see the world, like kids do. From church skinny ties to flat-billed hats and matching shoes, from finger waves to gumbies, mini froze to dreadlocks, fresh fitted, the freshest of the fresh, ready to grab her hand during couple skate or bring home a report card. On these days, we're all Black boys. All body bags. All filled with holes. All autopsies, all unrecognizable, baptized in sirens and secrets, unaware that others could supersede our skin's darkness. On these days, we're all Black boys, our spirits drifting into the night sky. Nephews, cousins, uncles, aunties, Black boys. On these days, even grandfathers become boys. They stumble back in a time when this narrative was the exact same, when the entire neighborhood had a funeral in the middle of the street for the kid whose name we all knew, mother crying in the backdrop, and Black boys watched other Black boys become asphalt. On these days, even sisters become boys. Only knowing how to teach them how to find the right partner. And when they're stolen, it feels like you're breathing molasses air. Elijah McClain air, it travels through your body like a horse carriage casket lowered into your chest. Breathing is so heavy on these days, and on these days, we're all Black boys. But especially the Black boys, ignorant and unaware as they should be, emulating their favorite rapper, athlete, or man in their life, so full of effort, so willing to try, so unsure of the world's ways, shit, maybe wanted to be a police officer one day, a doctor, the president, hoping they could steer this thing in the right direction, that he could stitch his best friend back together, but he has no idea that he's growing up so fast. He can only see it in the way that they see him. Patrol cars are more hungry, billy clubs are more curious, bullets are more inspired, and he knows this. But he doesn't know why. He thinks he's famous. Doesn't feel the crosshair sizing him up, but we all do. Huh. But we all do, don't we? But we all do. And we still fail to intercept what we saw coming. On these days, we're all Black boys, all broken, forever baffled, and right now out there in our own streets, bleeding. Jovan Mays, this is my brave.